Ladies and gentlemen, AMC stock is in the green today by almost 1%, and we have a major catalyst coming tomorrow that I think you should know about, and it is Fed Jerome Powell. So we're going to get into everything happening on the day today, how I think this catalyst will affect the markets as well as stocks such as AMC, guys. So we're going to go ahead and dive straight into it. Hit the like button and subscribe to the channel and source your comments, questions, or concerns down below in the comment section. So first things first today with AMC. Why AMC is bouncing a little bit, about 2.5 cents here, up 0.62% at the time of recording this video. It is, well, you're not really, you've already fallen so much, right? You've already priced in the negative coming on Thursday with the court ruling from the judge. We're fully expecting the judge to lift the status quo order, let the settlement go through, and to let AMC essentially raise as much capital as they want to. That's what the markets are expecting. So now you've already fallen quite a bit. You're really just trading sideways here until we actually do get the reverse split. That's the thing that is really happening today with AMC. It's just a bounce, right? Because you've fallen so much, but in reality of where the stock is, you're really just trading sideways here. This is positive. I mean, you're having a positive day. Yesterday was a gain of about 0.5% as well, but nothing has really changed, right? You're just waiting for Thursday, and Thursday is going to be a big day for AMC. I think you could actually get a rally, as we have talked about many times before. But what is also happening this week is portfolio rebalancing, and Goldman Sachs expects portfolio rebalancing could contribute about $150 billion worth of equity selling and a similar amount of bond buying. So what JP Morgan is saying here is that equities could fall and bonds could get bought. And this is all based on kind of stocks rallying and getting back to percentages of where hedge funds want to be allocated in certain sectors, right? Technology has well outperformed. That means that you're probably over allocated to technology if you were a part of this rally, if you were in the Magnificent Seven. And that could mean some selling there. So that could affect the broad indexes. It could psychologically affect AMC as well. It could cause AMC to trade down if the markets do fall tomorrow or throughout the rest of this week. But I'm not really expecting a big negative event for AMC from here. I think you've already experienced that real negativity, right? So I don't think tomorrow is going to be a big catalyst for AMC. I think it could be a big catalyst for some of your big tech names that have run too aggressively. Now, with that being said, I don't think Fed Jerome Powell is going to say anything different other than what we have heard before, which is another rate hike or two, inflation's on a good path down. The same stuff we hear essentially from Fed Jerome Powell every time recently. That's probably what you're going to hear again. Now, this time you're going to have the UK Fed, you're going to have the European Fed, and you're going to have the Japanese Fed. And that's where some people are saying, hey, maybe Fed Jerome Powell does change his stance a little bit and is a little bit more hawkish, since you do have the UK Fed at this conference with Sarah Eisman from CNBC. And the UK's core inflation rate has now just broke out above a new high. And they're obviously having an inflation problem. But I'm not convinced of that. Canada's inflation rate just came out today, and it was better than expected on virtually all fronts besides core year-over-year CPI. So you're not really getting signs that Fed Jerome Powell is going to be overly hawkish, anything different than what we've seen, but there is a chance that he does obviously push back against the rate cuts and tries to get the markets to price in more rate hikes. The markets currently are expecting a rate hike next meeting for July, but then you're expecting a pause in September, you're expecting a pause in November, as well as in December, but then markets start to price in a rate cut for January 31st, 2024, and then you price in a couple more rate cuts throughout 2024, and by the time you get to January of 2024, you're still going to be sitting with inflation in the 3 to 4.5% range, depending on, where inflation does go over this time period, over the next 6 months or so. So you're not really going to see inflation in a place to get rate cuts. And I think the Fed might stress this one particular problem, that maybe inflation just is stickier, right, for years to come, that maybe interest rates will have to stay higher and stay a lot higher for a lot longer. Maybe we're not going back to a neutral policy stance for a long time. That could be something that would negatively affect our markets and would likely cause a very severe sell-off. Now, that's not my base case. That's not my base case expectations for the Fed, but that is a possibility that you should definitely keep on your radar. Just considering markets are expecting rate cuts as soon as, January of 2024. Most Fed officials don't expect rate cuts until the end of 2024. That would be where inflation has really fallen at that point. So there's that. That's what to expect for tomorrow. As far as AMC stock, AMC is on the threshold securities list, and you do have a 24% short interest of free float and 123.5 million shares that are currently sold short. Now, cost to borrow average for AMC stock sitting at 379.88%. Cost to borrow max at 574%. Cost to borrow minimum sitting at 8%. Live numbers from Interactive Brokers have 100 shares currently available to be lent out with a cost to borrow fee of 274.13%. So cost to borrow fees sky high and very few shares that are currently available to be lent out, which is potentially going to continue to drive these cost to borrow fees higher. Cost to borrow max at 574% is up from 392% yesterday. And these are not fluke numbers. They're staying at this level. Interactive Brokers cost to borrow fees have almost doubled from yesterday's numbers as well, sitting at about 196%. Yesterday, in the beginning of the day, cost to borrow fees were at 127% from Interactive Brokers. So you've definitely seen something change with these cost to borrow fees and the expected volatility with AMC. Now, everyone is so negative on AMC, that makes me be positive on AMC. You have seen 38 orders totaling $10.86 million with a positive order value of 3%. So very negative positioning and option activity that you have seen today, and really frankly over the past couple of months with AMC. I think logically speaking, the Bears can't win this here. Right? Eventually the Bulls are going to win this, and you don't want to be on the bearish side when the Bulls do start to win this. And it could be this week after the court date on Thursday, right? So keep that in mind. That's something that I am currently watching to see when some of the sentiment does start to flip and when it actually does start to look a little bit more bullish. Nonetheless, AMC stock is up 1% at the time of recording this video. Stocko tracker data still, again, I want to point this out in almost every single video. The option activity for the next 3 weeks is very low heading into July 21st. So if AMC does do the reverse split some point next week, that could give you a rally in the stock as some people start to recognize like, hey, AMC did a reverse split. Things of that nature tended to be somewhat bullish events in history's past, right? And not to mention every time AMC has raised capital, the stock has rallied. So I think there's a pretty good precedence there as well. Not to mention when AMC and the RSI is oversold, you tend to get a bounce, and that tends to be one of the best times to be a buyer of AMC is when the RSI is oversold. You've always made money if you've bought when the RSI was oversold. So I don't think this time is going to be any different in that regard. Now, if we take a look at things such as the days to cover, that is also sitting at some of the highest levels that you have seen in a very long time. Days to cover currently on AMC is at 8.92. Which means it's going to be hard for shorts to get out of these short positions. Free flow out on loan at about 39%, shares out on loan at 200 million. And now for the first time, you're also seeing share utilization drop under 100% to 91.14. This is the first time I'm seeing this. I really don't know what to make of it, because if you look at the option activity and you look at some of the shares that are currently available to be lent out, you're looking at 100 shares or 0 shares or things of that nature. So maybe some shares did just come online somewhere. That is a possibility. But what we're seeing from Interactive Brokers would suggest you're still at 100% share utilization. Now, tomorrow, obviously, you're going to get the Fed in the morning. That's going to be the big catalyst in the morning. But you're also going to get some other secondary data pieces coming out as well, like some oil data coming out and some bond auctions, as well as the bank stress test results that come out at 4:30 p.m. tomorrow. Janet Yellen said last week that we're probably going to see more mergers of banks than takeovers, and that sent regional bank stocks down. So if the bank stress test results are not good, well, that could be a negative for banks. That could be a negative for our markets as well, guys. So keep all of this on your radar. Long story short, with AMC, you're up 1% today. I really don't think this is obviously a big deal on the upside or the downside. I think you trade sideways here until Thursday, and then after Thursday, that's where you have the potential to move bigger here. But I don't think Thursday is going to be an event where AMC just falls like 20% like we have seen in the past. I don't foresee that happening. It's a possibility. Again, I'm not a financial advisor. I'm not a fortune teller. I don't have a crystal ball here. But, I mean, we expected the stock to do nothing this week, and it has done nothing as of so far. So that is going to do it here in this video. Not too much else to actually say. Just watch portfolio rebalancing. Watch how the indexes move and how that does affect AMC. Fed Jerome Powell tomorrow. Fed Jerome Powell is going to be Thursday at 2:30 in the morning as well. So you're not going to get much of a break there. It's going to be Powell tomorrow morning, and then it's going to be Powell later, essentially tomorrow night. Right, 2:30 in the morning. It's going to affect futures maybe, but I don't think it's going to be a big event nonetheless. I think some of your names, your big tech names that are overvalued, some of your Apples or Microsofts trading at massive PEs or PEG ratios, could actually fall the most as some of your hedge funds and institutions reduce exposure, and that could drive down the index level. But I think some of your small and mid-cap stocks might actually be able to outperform at that point if some of your big tech names do ultimately fall, guys. So that is going to do it for this video. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and source your comments, questions, or concerns down below in the comment section. You guys have a great rest of your day, and I will see you in the next one.